Coming up, the
Yeah,
Emforcer!
yes.
Welcome to Nerdlandia.
Welcome to Nerdlandia, where we cheer on our local indie sports teams. I'm your host, Emily Case Buskirk. Today, we're diving headfirst into the world of roller derby. I talk with Emma about the evolution of the sport and her experience with No Coast Roller Derby, the local team. And that name could not be more perfect for them, by the way, because they're never coasting. After Emma and I had this conversation, part of the team participated in a regional tournament in Arizona, which I'll share an update about at the end of the episode. And off the track, members do a lot of work by partnering with local organizations like Out Nebraska and participating in community events including Streets Alive and Girl Camp. Emma, thank you so much for joining me today.
Of course, I'm so happy to be here.
I love roller derby, and I'm so excited to hear your thoughts on everything. So to start things off, what initially piqued your interest about roller derby?
Initially, it started off of just being a kid and trying any sport I possibly could. I was at that age where it was kind of like finding what you were interested in and what you liked. At the time, I was playing volleyball and I also did dance. I did hip hop and ballet and tap. That kind of circle of people wasn't what I really closely identified with, I guess you could say, or just felt a connection towards. They're a different type of people, and I just didn't. I was a quirky kid. I was a little bit weird.
Totally.
And so then my dad saw a Facebook ad for No Coast Roller Derby. They're starting a junior program because that started to take off in other states. So they were trying it out, and he saw it and he was like, "Hey, want to give it a try?" And I said, "Not really," because roller skating, I hated it. Like I could not be less enthused with roller skating. I like birthday parties. There was a lot of like skating birthday parties I would have as a kid with like family or friends or whatever, and I just hated those. I would go to them and not skate because I couldn't skate. But yeah, as I slowly got more involved with it and just started to meet new people and get more acclimated to that environment, I started to really see those people as more of like family. It's a different type of sport, I think, is what to answer the question. It's a very interesting and different sport in comparison to like other sports that you think of, like volleyball or football or hockey or whatever. It's a full contact, predominantly female sport. That's what it started as, and I think that's why it's so interesting to me and why I'm so prideful. Like being able to tell people I play that, they're like, "Wow, that's really cool," or "Wow, what is it?" You know, it's more or less always something like, "Ooh, let me tell you more." You know.
I love that. And so, I mean, you say you got involved at the junior level. So, like, how old were you when you first started
I
roller
started
derby?
when I was 10.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I want to say I would think I was going into fifth grade. Like I remember it was the summer of going into fifth grade, and I remember like starting in school, and we were like circling up and telling people about our summer and stuff. And I remember just being like, I started playing roller derby, knowing
Amazing.
I really couldn't skate, and I wasn't like hitting people. I was just bragging about it. I was like, yeah, and then people are like, what is that? You know, kids.
I
But
love that.
yeah, it
Well,
was
yeah, at that age, when I was telling people about my summer, I was doing band camp and
heck
learning how to
yeah.
play, the first few songs on the flute. So, you know.
What is it? Hot cross buns and
Yes, all of those songs.
yes, heck yeah.
I could never really get into team sports because I came from a small town and we only had
Mhm.
the really standard team
Yeah,
sports. And I ended up getting on the cross country team mostly because I wasn't on the volleyball team and they were just trying to recruit people who were eligible for the sport.
yeah,
But I loved it, you
yeah.
know?
You're all collect. I feel like ideally, like most people that for like roller derby's sake, I guess. Ideally, most of those people all are all there for the same reason, and they're all different. It's really strange, but it's like beautiful in a way where it's like you all have the same kind of storyline, but you're all different in different ways. So I think
Yeah.
that's and just people in roller derby specifically, they're like filled with a lot of love and just like kindness, acceptance. Like they're all just really good people. So yeah,
Totally.
that's definitely a reason why I stayed and why I've been involved with it continually.
Yes, yes, just a more like genuine energy.
Yes, 100%.
There are other really great team sports
Oh,
people
for
can do
sure.
too, but
For sure.
I'm just speaking from my own experience.
For sure. Yeah, no.
But yeah, it's so cool getting to hear about, your involvement at such a young age. Like, do you think that that did provide, kind of a support or even kind of an emotional outlet when you're a
100%.
teenager?
For sure. Being able to go to like a safe space after school. I never was a school kid. I just struggled to like focus, or I struggled to on specific subjects. So like math, for example, not my strong suit. Well,
Same.
yeah, but being able to then go to practice or then go to an event where we're fundraising or something, or just hang out with the people that I know with roller derby, like being able to do that as a kid, it was so amazing. It's kind of like recreation, like going to the recreation center after school. My
Yeah.
recreation was going to practice. I always like, I remember like getting done with like high school specifically, because high school, getting done with school and being like, well, at least I have
Oh,
practice and I can go to
totally.
practice and hang out with my friends, because I had a lot of friends on the team. And then being a leader at the like later in my derby career, junior derby career, I was a captain for I want to say like the last 3 or 4 years ish. But being able to be a leader to my friends and my teammates, and just being able to be that person that they can go to about things that they want to talk about, like that was awesome. And I learned a lot of soft skills and hard skills from doing that.
I love that. And so what is your like role on the team now?
I'm currently a board member. I've been a board member. This is my second year. My term is up
Nice.
in July.
Okay.
Um, NOCO started about 20 years ago. Next year is actually their 20th
Oh,
anniversary,
wow.
back in 2005.
Mhm.
And around COVID time, things shut down for a lot of people, including the Derby community. And the Derby community really, really was affected by it. It was kind of an unknown of like, when could we come back? Like it's unsafe
Yeah.
for people to be in groups right now, and that's what roller derby is.
Right.
You kind of got to touch each other for for things to happen. So you
Yeah.
couldn't
It's
do
a
that.
contact sport.
Right, you couldn't do that. And so around 2022, a friend and I, we coached the juniors, but we were just like, man, we really want to get back into it. We really want to start going again. And at the time, I was like an aged out junior, but I wasn't an adult skater, but I still was involved with the adult like league. And so it was
Yeah.
a really gray area. And so I hadn't even had my first season yet. But me and my friend Natalie, we did this big proposal to a bunch of skaters that were involved or wanted to be involved, and said, "Hey, it was kind of radio silence. They hadn't really put anything out there. It didn't look like they were making any strides to like actively getting things out and going." And so we emailed them, wrote a big proposal. We are willing to put in the effort. We want this to come back. Like, we don't want No Coast Roller Derby to die after COVID. Unfortunately, like, there's a lot of leagues that were active in 2019 and then haven't came back still in
Mm,
2024. And so we really didn't want that to happen.
yeah.
It was built by these amazing women, and we want to continue that success for however long we can. And so they got back to us, and it kind of just from then and there they still did like the formality of voting on new board members.
Mhm.
My role as a board member is kind of vague. There's a lot of different with roller derby. It's a very volunteer ran sport. There's not
Totally.
really anybody that gets paid to do it, and so with being a board member, you kind of pick up all sorts of different things.
That's awesome. What do you think has given the sport so much longevity over the years? And also, how do you think it's changed?
Over time, roller derby, when you look at roller derby from the 2000s, when it was resurrected from the 70s, having really iconic skaters and athletes in the sport. I think of There's this wonderful person I think of. She skates for Rose City Rollers from Portland, Oregon. Her name's Lauren Much, and she is the most coolest person ever. Like, I can't even, like, I'm fangirling. I don't know her, but
Love it. I love
she's like an
it.
icon to me. She is like the Serena Williams of roller derby. Like the GOAT. Um,
Amazing.
and so I think a lot of those types of people and those people involved in the sport that make it they make it more of a serious thing than
Yeah.
others.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of, even like the association that we skate under, it's called the WFTDA, or the Women's Flat Track Association. I think they also contribute a lot to the success of roller derby. They do a phenomenal job with just like putting on tournaments and hosting really competitive tournaments with amazing teams. I think there's a lot of moving parts and people involved in roller derby that have really changed the game for it. Lots of very creative and just intelligent individuals that have really smart ideas and they execute them well.
Yeah.
And people that care, people that are genuinely invested, and a lot of the times people that play are also involved with like being a board member or being someone in leadership, somebody involved in the league, and I think those people can continue to build the roller derby community.
Yeah, so sort of from what I'm hearing and my impression, correct me if I'm wrong, originally maybe it was like super inspired by like pro wrestling, where it's
Mhm.
like, sure, it's a sport, but it's also spectacle. And
Yes.
so there's
Yeah.
going to be a lot of theatrics that go
Yeah.
in, there's going to be a big performance aspect. And
Yeah.
over time, that's kind of like tapered down. And there's really been more of an emphasis on developing it as a sport
Yes.
and developing like the rules and the athleticism
Hmm.
and like the team building.
Yeah. It's definitely not as big hits and other big spectacles like you were talking about.
Yeah, yeah, totally. So for somebody who maybe hasn't been to a roller derby bout before, could you kind of like just describe the energy and what that looks like?
There's a lot of big hits and action happening at all times on the track, honestly. For like logistics of the game and how it works, roller derby split up into two 30-minute halves. And in those 30-minute halves, there's units of time called jams, is what we call them. Those can be up to 30 seconds or 2 minutes. The longest it can go is 2 minutes.
Okay.
And the person that dictates that unit of time, the jam, is called the jammer. The jammers are the people that score the points. They wear a star on their helmet. We call those helmet covers. And those are the people that kind of are the star of the show. That's why they got the star there, you know? They're kind of a big
Yep.
deal.
Yeah.
I'm not a jammer, but sometimes I am. So I kind of feel nice to say that a little bit.
Nice. Yeah, I was gonna ask. So you're kind of like a blocker most of the time then?
Yeah, I'm a
Cool.
pivot, but I also will jam if our jammers are like, "Hey, you want to have some fun?" Be like, "Sure, it's fun to get hit and gassed out. Sure, yeah."
Heck
But
yeah.
but yeah, for like positions, there's jammers. Jammers score the points, and then there's blockers. Their goal is to hold the other opposing jammer back or help their jammer out and get out of the pack. The pack is the big mass of people. So there's 4 opposing blockers, and then there's your team, 4 blockers, and then there's one jammer from one team, one jammer from another team. And then there's a pivot. That's usually what I am. They wear a stripe on their helmet. They're still a blocker, but they're the only person on the track that can become the jammer if the jammer hands them the star. And we call
Oh,
that
okay.
a star pass. We also have officiating crews. We have refs at all times on the track.
Yes.
Officiating, like a crew of officials is pretty big. It takes up to, I want to say, like 10 or 11, 12. Also, non skating officials, those are the people that aren't wearing skates, and a lot of the times they do the penalty tracking, the scorekeeping, the jam time. And so we greatly appreciate those people because they're all volunteers as well.
Yeah. How many are on the No Coast team right now? Well, then you mentioned that there's also like the junior team still as
Yeah.
well.
The
Okay.
junior team, we still work closely next to them. It was connected, but in 2019, they had a proposal to split the leagues just because things were getting really big for the juniors and the adults, and it became a lot to handle. Those two are separate, but we still work. I mean, we're the same community, you know. We benefit off of each other and we want to help each other, especially if we want our sport to continue to grow. Around, I'd say with the adults, there's around, I want to say it's 40. Last year we had a really really great recruitment class and got a lot of new skaters and fresh meat, and they're amazing. We love our recruits or newbie skaters. They're full of like compassion and they want to learn the sport and they're very excited and they're just amazing. And then the junior league is booming. There's so many great kids. I'm a coach for the juniors as well, and those kids are
Nice.
amazing. They're all like full of heart, the most accepting, kindest individuals. So
It's so wholesome.
yes.
Okay, so you mentioned like the fresh meat and training process. Describe the training process and any like grueling parts to it.
Okay. I'll just take from like what we do for recruitment process.
Yeah.
We recruit once a year. Unfortunately, I'd love to do it more, but we recruit for 2 months. So we do it in October through November. Obviously, when people come in, we don't require that you have experience. Like we're all starting somewhere. If you've never skated in your life before, come on in. We'll teach you.
Yeah.
So we really just start with the first few weeks are really basic skating skills. So we work on strides and how to fall correctly, because if you fall the wrong way, you can get injured. And so we really
Yes.
emphasize basic skills before we get into anything crazy. And then over time, we develop our more derby specific skills. So, like certain stops and certain ways to hit somebody and just like positioning on the track. And then the final weeks of recruitment, we talk about basic roller derby lingo, or just like the logistics of the game and penalties and kind of going over positions and whatnot. And then once January hits, that's really when you get thrown in and you're on a team and you learn the skills with everybody else at the same rate. And we get more into like gameplay. I would say when I was doing, because I haven't done skills assessment in a while, but I would say the 27 and 5 was definitely like up there for like grueling, and just it's very disheartening when you don't hit that 27,
Mm-hmm.
but it's something that I like to do as when I was a kid and we would do the skills test. I liked to do it because it gave me like perspective of what I needed to work on. You would do it, and then a couple months later or a couple weeks later you would do it again, and then you would only see progress. You would never really go down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that was definitely one of them. And then I guess something that I struggled with was plow stops. It's when you're pushing your feet in and get nice and low. My legs were weird. I was one of those like long legged. I just couldn't do it. And so I really struggled with those, but it was just a learning curve.
Yeah, yeah. The plow stop almost sounds like when you're like snow skiing
Yes.
and you do like the
Yeah.
pizza.
Yes, that's what we call it. We call it pizza. It's like a pizza slice. We'll tell the kids like, imagine you want a piece of pizza or something. I don't know. So
Easy way to remember.
yeah.
From your perspective, what do you think sets No Coast apart from like other derby teams?
I'm trying to be humble, I guess. I don't
You
know.
don't need to be humble. This is like the moment to toot your own horn.
I'd like to say that specifically for our competitive team, our Mad Maxines, they play in competitive tournaments at a regional level or even an international level consistently all throughout when I've been involved since 2013. They have always been one of the top teams in either their region or even at an international level. They've always had just a higher standard when it comes to roller derby, and the athletes on the team have always been super, super determined and hardworking individuals. And so I think we really pride ourselves on having that level of a team in such a small area, in such a small
Yeah.
town. Good old Nebraska. We have
Love
a
it.
really good roller derby team and an amazing community of roller derby skaters without even having a skating rink. Like I think as we have such an amazing community of people, but we don't even have a skating rink, which sucks. But it's also like that's really cool. There's a lot of people that care about this sport. Luckily, we have a home, but we don't have another home where we can just roller skate.
Yeah. That is so crazy to think about.
Yeah, I definitely say like I think No Coast has always had a very competitive and high level. Luckily enough that I've been able to move into as a junior skater. I think No Coast has so many great people involved and resources that even with the junior, I'm thinking now, I'm like my brain's going that like
Yes,
even with the
yes.
junior program and how it sets us up for the future. Oh my gosh, it's incredible. Like it's really cool to look at and see.
That's awesome. Sometimes I feel like we don't have like the most, but we're so good at like, making the most of what we do have.
Hmm.
And
For
so
sure.
yeah, that's definitely like something to be proud of.
Yeah, I will toot one horn. I will just say this.
Yes, yes, go right ahead.
The other thing, like more recent thing, our Mad Maxine's team, we are going to regionals.
That's
We're
awesome.
going there next month to play in a really high level tournament with our first game is against a team from Canada, and there's teams from Seattle, Los Angeles, Denver, Portland. So it's my first ever really competitive tournament like ever in my career. So I'm I'm just excited to like see these people that I like look up to, and I'm like, hi, like, oh,
Yes.
hello, sort of thing. Like, I'm super pumped for that. I think that's really cool that we're able to experience something like that just based off of our pure like hard work and determination.
That is so amazing. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh. Well, good luck or
thank
whatever
you.
you say in the derby world.
No, that's perfect. Thank you.
Oh, the other thing I was going to say too is that I feel like also in Nebraska we have good athletic teams, but they're all in the like less popular sports, so nobody
Right,
ever hears about them.
right, right. Yeah.
So, just another example.
It's weird. It's a weird phenomenon that like in the derby community we talk about. There's people outside of the community that love it and they cherish the sport. They love to watch it. But I don't know what we can do to really get it out there like standard sports like you were talking about earlier. I don't know what else there is to do other than just continue to
Yep,
build upon it. But I do hope one day, not just for No Coast, but I think like the entire sport of roller derby. I do hope it gets to that point.
what are different ways people can like get involved with No Coast?
If you're all in, you want to play, I would say stay tuned to our social media and our website. Just stay updated on those. We're posting all the time and we're updating things constantly. But for a time frame, give or take, recruitment goes around October and November. So you can find those details around September-ish is when we start going out with that stuff. But for right now, if you want to come out to about, we have our schedule posted on our website. Our schedule is posted on our socials. And if you just want to watch and have fun, come down to a game. We'll be at events. We'll be at Pride this year. We're out and about usually. If not, we're at a game. If you want to get involved volunteering wise, I recommend reaching out on the website. We're always needing volunteers. I think a lot of the times what I tell people is just know that we're there, and if you ever want to come out and watch, that's more than enough.
Totally. To sort of start to wrap things up, I have to know how you thought of your derby name, the Emforcer.
Um, Unfortunately, I'm not gonna give myself too much credit with that one. My dad, my dad,
Oh,
we were sitting out on the patio when I was a kid, and he was just like, "You got to think of a name, Emma." And I was like, "My name's Emma. Like, there's much cooler names that you can base your derby name off." And he was like, "Well, let's just think about it." And thought about it, and then he just off rip said Enforcer, and I was like, that's not that bad. Like, I had no idea that it was like a play off of a hockey position, the enforcer. Didn't
oh, see, I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, I didn't even know that until somebody told that to me, and I was like, well, maybe that's why. I haven't asked him actually. I've never asked why he came up with that. I'm assuming he's a hockey guy too.
Okay,
Um,
fair.
but yeah, I was like, I personally am a big fan of like short names, just kind of straight off rip, like that's what it is. And then
Love
I'm
it.
more proud. I came up with my number. I'm more
Okay.
proud of that one. My number is 4, and so I broke it down. I said M4 sir. So I was like 4. That's my
Love.
number. So, and I think I'm very like a visual person, and I just think 4 looks nice. I love that
Yes.
number now. So yeah.
That's amazing. So in preparation for this conversation, I was like, what would my derby name be?
But I need to know.
But I was like, Ember Rain. My middle name is Lorraine, so Raine.
I like the
So
ember.
so we got kind of like fire and water going
Heck
on,
yeah.
and we could like play some Adele while I'm like skating out.
Yes. Yes. I love them, and then people will do this too. This is something I love. When skaters will have a name where they can do like makeup with like their name. I don't Or like
Ooh,
they'll base off, a lot of us have like colors associated with their, it's like called synesthesia, I'm pretty sure, or something. But
yeah,
a lot, like, me and my friend Natalie have talked about it, where she think her name is Knick-Knack Paddywhack,
love
and
it.
she associates her name with like pink and yellow, and I'm like, that makes so much sense. And for some reason, I associate purple, and I think it's just because it's my favorite color. But like, I could totally
Still,
see like the red and the blue.
Yes.
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
I'm so glad I have the stamp of approval. Anything else that you wanted to add about the derby world?
I would just say simply put, support your local derby community. If you know about it, give them a little extra love. If you don't know about it, learn about it. Google the internet.
Yes.
It's real easy. Like I said, really, really want a heavy stamp on this is a lot of roller derby is predominantly volunteer run. And so just the simple support of coming out to one game. You don't have to come to every single one. It really builds us up and hopefully get to that one point where we do become like basketball, volleyball, or football.
Yes.
Like that's the ultimate goal always.
Amazing. And yeah, I mean, I just say for listeners, if you haven't been to one, just go check it out. I mean, like you said, since everybody's like volunteer,
Hmm.
everybody's doing it because they love it.
Hmm.
And if anything, it's just so cool to see people who are passionate about what they do
Right.
and to learn about a new thing
Hmm.
and to just see all those cool derby names. I mean, come
Yeah,
on.
yeah, it is. I will. Yeah, that's another thing is there's a lot of very. You'll see them on the back of their jersey or on the roster sheets, and you'll be like,
Yes.
"That's funny." Like you'll have a little laugh too. Like it's fun. It's a
Oh,
blast.
I know. It's seriously like my favorite part. And then even like hearing the announcers be like,
Yes.
and
Oh,
coming up the
yeah.
Enforcer.
Yes. It's so much. Yeah, that's a big one. Just come on out.
All right, that leads us into our recurring ending segment of current favorites. What's your favorite thing in the moment?
Currently, it's food related. I love food. I'm a big
Same.
food head. Um,
Always.
It's kind of is it current? No, but I always love it. But more recently, I think it's just because it's summertime. I love sushi so
Yes.
much. It's kind of becoming an issue. I've gotten sushi once a week for the past 2 months.
So where are you like getting your sushi from?
This is the bad part. It's Hy-Vee.
Okay, I am a huge fan of Hy-Vee sushi and it's so
It's
convenient.
good.
It's always solid.
Yeah. It hits the spot. I don't, and that's another thing is I don't need to go to these more expensive places when I could just drive on past Hy-Vee.
It's like the perfect, I guess for me, like if I'm running errands or something and I'm
Yeah.
like, I just need to get some quick dinner, then it's the
Yeah.
perfect treat slash
Yes.
convenient meal.
Yes.
Okay, if somebody's like paying for your dinner or something, like what kind of sushi are you going for or what place are you going for?
I only had up until I want to say like last year or maybe 2 years ago. I had Blue Sushi, which is that downtown
Always
place.
good.
Really,
Yes.
really nice. Really nice. Me and my friend went there. I wouldn't mind that, but I also love Kinja. That's another spot that me and my friend go
Yeah.
to. Kinja's not bad at all. It's pretty good. I'm more of like a roll person.
Mhm.
I'll get like a calamari roll from Kinja's really good.
Yum.
Now I'm thinking
I
about
know.
it.
I know. I mean, now that it's like nice out, yeah,
Yeah.
like
And that's another thing. It's a good high V specifically because it comes in like this perfect little tray with a lid. You can go on a picnic, go take it to a picnic
true.
table. Like it's perfect. It's
Oh
so
my
good.
gosh. Yes, sushi picnic sounds like such a great vibe.
Hmm.
Okay, one of my favorite places is Shokunin, and it's actually close to Blue.
Oh
That one's
wow.
really, really good too.
Okay. I need. That's another
They
thing. I'm bad at. I'm a day one high V sushi supporter. So I'm just. I'll be like, I don't need it, but I do. Yeah, I do need to try more places.
Ugh, I know. I've actually been craving sushi for a while. That's gonna need to happen again soon.
It's gonna be happening.
Okay, my favorite thing in the moment, and again, like mine isn't all that current, but I got something new from it recently. So I don't know if you've been to Suru downtown. It's like a boutique,
Hmm.
but they also do consignment, and they just like always have the cutest stuff there. So anyway, okay, so check them out. They're adorable and wonderful, and I always love their consignment stuff.
Hmm.
They have like so many good things. I just got a pair of like basically brand new Chuck Taylors that are white for $20. Yes.
That's a steal. What?
Yes. And anyway, so that's what I love about Suru is that they have like just really great selection, great curation, and
Mhm.
everybody there is super nice. Like I don't know, just always such a wonderful place. So.
Good.
It was so great to talk to you, and thanks for thanks for being on the pod.
I appreciate it. Thank you for reaching out. Thank you for thinking of No Coast, I appreciate it.
In case you were curious like I was, the 27 and 5 drill is skating about 1 mile in 5 minutes, which is crazy to think about and super impressive. I watched No Coast compete in a bout this past month and can confirm they are an incredible team. Although the Mad Maxines didn't advance in the regional tournament, Emma did earn an MVP award because she's awesome. Here's what she had to say about it. Quote, experiencing high-level roller derby and competing in it has always been on my bucket list, but experiencing it firsthand in my second year of adult roller derby wasn't always expected. I am so incredibly grateful to have experienced playoffs. My team didn't come out with wins this past weekend, but we learned a lot. We played amazing opponents from Canada and Seattle with smiles on the track and just having fun. We also watched a lot of high-level derby, including my dream team, Rose City Wheels of Justice from Portland, Oregon, something I've always dreamed of seeing in person. And that's it for this week, friends. Tune in on July 10th for the Nerdlandia Season 1 finale with Alma, the owner of Lincoln's Board Game Cafe, Mana Games. It's a fantastic conversation, and I can't wait to share it with you. Nerdlandia is hosted, produced, and edited by Emily Case Buskirk. Theme song and ending credit music by Keith West. Cover art by Ellen Stubbings. Additional music by SMVJ, Ouija Bandara, and Yuri Semkishin from Pixabay.
Skate, 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 snack, skate, skate.